How you doing? Salut. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yansway Rasta, which is to say my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yansway witchcraft. All roads go to Rome. Home. Okay, how you doing? So, I wanted to talk about why my sexuality changes throughout my life. Um, because it's not really something that's being said because only a fool would talk about their sexuality. So only I'm foolish enough to do that. But yeah, so my sexuality's changed throughout my life. Um, my I started out, like I was already fully aware of sex by the time I was like a first or second grader. Whereas like other people didn't it was like junior high. It wasn't until like puberty and like just before that really that they knew about sex. And things with that I never really related with that. I easily knew all about sex way before that. And it's because when I was like in kindergarten and first grade, what I would do is I would there was these bushes at recess. uh, we'd jump in these bushes. I say we, I don't know who would. I don't know if anyone else my age did, but I would jump in these bushes and the older boys would jump in there because it was like when you're like in kindergarten and first grade, especially when you're in kindergarten, all the other grades, they're just like, even in first grade, they seem a lot older than you. And they feel like they're a lot older than you. And so they're a lot tougher and scarier and things like that. So I would jump in the bushes with the older boys, and they would talk about all these advanced things, that people do in first and second grade. And I never heard the word sex back then. So we're talking like the early 70s, a long time ago. Um, well, I guess more like the mid 70s. Sorry, this is probably like 1977, 78 maybe at the latest. They would talk about screwing. Do you know what screwing is? You don't know what screwing is, and we'd talk about screwing, and they'd teach me about screwing. And then at one point, I confessed that sometimes when I go hiking, I like to hike naked. You know, I was trying to be like brave. Like sometimes when I go hiking, I like to go naked. Like that's something that I've done. But really it was the reason I would go hiking naked is because I was angry at society and I felt, I used to like save the bones from dinner and go in my doghouse and chew the marrow out of the bones with my dog, and like I spent most of my time with animals, and I didn't like humans in a way. I was more into animals when I was a kid, and so like I would go naked because that's what animals do. They'd be naked, and then I'd be closer to nature. I'd leave my shoes on and do some of the hike naked and feel like an animal with my dog. So that's like probably like kindergarten and first grade. So a long time ago. It's kind of weird. Can you imagine a kindergartner hiking naked with their dog? But there was no people up in the mountains back then. I was the only one up there ever. I don't think I ever ran into anybody, ever. I ran into a porcupine once, and I'd run into rarely animals, mostly like horny toads and lizards, stuff like that. And I may have seen other things I can't really remember. Now I know there's bears in that area. We're talking about like south central Utah. I don't know if there were black bears back then, but yeah, I would have been like in those mountains. Weird to think there might have been black bears there. And safety wasn't invented until more like the early 80s. People didn't care about things like that. Um, but yeah, so then one of the boys said, "Hey, can I go hiking with you naked?" And then I'm all sure. And then we went hiking and I got naked. And he says, "Wow, you look like a girl. Do you want to pretend like you're a girl and we can screw?" And I was all, "Yeah, I want to pretend like I'm a girl." Anal sex at that age is pretty rough. But I liked it because I wanted to be a girl so bad. And so yeah, so the first time I had sex was with a boy in like first grade, and that just tell all that all those experiences tends to teach you a lot about sex. So by the time I was in second grade, I was quite aware of things. And uh, and uh, did I like girls at all? Yeah, I wanted to screw a girl too, but they didn't really like me. It was always easy for me to make friends with girls, but as soon as they found out I was romantically interested, they just like they would ghost me. They'd be like, "What the hell? That's what this was all about all along," type of thing. My friends used to, they could never understand girls or make friends with girls like I could, so I would say, yeah, what we can do is, because then like I'd make friends with them, and then they'd always like my friend and not me. So I said, yeah, I would make friends with girls, and then so that my guy friends could get girls. Or like my friends would have a girlfriend, and they'd have me kind of like entertain their girlfriend. And do all the talking and friendship thing, go over to their house all the time, and I'd like be friends with their girlfriend. That part of the friend, it was always easy to make friends and relate with girls, but the sex part just didn't really click real good. Today I've had sex with more than twice as many boys as I have girls, but yeah, I was married for a while. It wasn't all striking out. I was engaged once for a year, and I was married for 7 years and with her for 8. We had sex, every day, at least once or twice or 3 times, for 7 years. And like, I'm no virgin in any side of the thing. I would say that I was born bisexual. I think that first I noticed boys, like when I'd see like boys naked, that was a thing. But girls naked, I used to shower naked with or bath naked with my sisters. And they would pee in front of me, and not in front of me, but kind of, I guess, in front of me. But that it was much more normal. Naked girls were more normal to me, actually. But I remember being really jealous at a young age that girls could have vaginas and I had to have a penis. But at that same time. So that's how it kind of started out. But then by the time puberty hit and that, like I would have, like, everything I just said, I would have denied, even to myself in my own head. You know, really strict. Like guys would talk about beating up faggots and all that stuff. And like I didn't even allow myself to think or remember or anything. I was in denial about everything, and I liked only girls. Like that. But there still was some things. One of the worst things I did was this one guy that I would get naked with, and we'd show each other our genitals and things like that. And then I told everybody that he was gay and hit on me. And made him look like the bad guy. I've since talked to him and apologized. I'm so sorry, but I kind of ruined his life. He didn't dare to go outside for a long time, and everybody would tease him and everything like that, and nobody suspected a thing. And it was just, he didn't do anything that I didn't do. It was, so there was still moments. There always was moments. There always was guys that would single me out and liked me, kind of. I rarely would do anything about it, but because I was into girls and I was a rocker, and that's what rockers do. David Lee Roth doesn't have sex with boys, but it just wasn't a thing. Um, then, like, people that know me would know. I mean, I've always been weird, especially when it comes to girls, and uh, you know, wearing girls' clothes, was a thing. Like when I was married, my ex would let me wear bras and stuff, and I would talk about it. It was before I'd ever heard of transgender people. Still, I'd talk about one day going on a vacation and being a girl, you know, like going on like a week long or something vacation and being a girl, you know, and it, like there's always been things, you know, either transgender things or. So first of all, you know, we need to recognize the difference between gender and sexuality. If you let the the fundamentalists and the religiosos talk about it, there would only be one word: marriage. You know, they say don't say the word sex. You know, don't say the word gender. You know, maybe the word sex, but never gender. It's all the same thing. It's called marriage. You know, how do you say two married people having sex? You just say two married people being married, and all the rest is implied. Everything else is a sin. Don't say it. It's all the same thing. Only the devil's convinced people there's other aspects or something, you know. But gender and spectrum, I mean, gender and sexuality, both of which are on a spectrum, um, are two different things, you know. So I have other videos about gender. This is just about sexuality, you know. So statistically, trans women are either, you know, they either like men or women. You know, like when I Googled it once years ago, I don't know what it would happen if I Googled it now. It was like a kind of roughly a 50-50 chance, you know. But yet the videos that I watch, most trans women are demisexual. So I would say that I was kind of born bisexual, and that's why I've gone this way and that. But there's, in the world of bisexual, there's pansexual. Pansexual is someone that could go either direction. You know, they like both kinds. They're kind of opportunists, you know. A demisexual, that it's not about what gender you are, it's about how you treat them and how you make them feel. So that's why those words need to be different. Someone says I'm demisexual, then you're going to need to treat them right and make them feel a certain way before they'll be turned on. If they say they're pansexual, it means it's all green lights for everybody, you know. Yeah. If it bisexual, the reason I'd say that is because it was never about going this way or that. It was always about this area of my life I was going this way, or this area I was going that way. There was no panning involved, and there was no who knows what's going to happen about it, you know, really. Maybe a little bit at times, but just before, like, when I learned about transgender people, one of the reasons I was able to figure that out is because I went through a phase where I was asexual, where I didn't think about sex, didn't dream about sex, didn't want sex. I was asexual for a couple of years, you know, and during those 2 years, that's when I became aware of transgender people. So when they say that being transgender is a sexual thing, boy, you know, especially with me, that's not true. You know, to me, gender and sexuality are very different things. You know, if I would have never figured if I was, you know, sex is what was keeping me from everything. You know, it was a big wall keeping me from moving to the next step. You know, which was realizing I'm transgender. Things happen for a reason. You know, so being asexual was good for me, but it was also bad because I'd been abused. I was in an abusive relationship and had a bunch of bad experiences, and my sexuality was kind of beaten out of me. Uh, and so during transitioning, when I went on female hormones, one of the things that happened was I started seeing guys in a different way. And the next thing I knew, I was fantasizing about holding their hand and kissing them and thinking they're cute and having sex with them and things like that, you know. And I'm like, what the hell? So I was attracted to them in a different way that I'd never been attracted to them before, you know. It's not the same. It was like an all new thing, you know. So my second puberty, my female puberty, with that came interest in guys, and it was a miracle to me, a huge miracle. I'm like, wow, I don't have to be asexual anymore. It's back, you know. I've got my self-esteem back. I've got, you know, it's just like so many miracles happened during transitioning. It was kind of like a computer rebooting itself. There's just hundreds of changes, clicking, this happening, this. It was like so much happened the first 3 years. The first year, you know, by the first year, I was already where I'm describing now. And for about the first 3 years, it was just huge. You know, my boobs hurt when my boobs were growing in and my milk ducts were forming. You know, you do know that trans women can breastfeed babies, right? If they get the milk started with medication, you get real milk ducts. They're real boobs, you know, and they hurt at first. And it's just so my female puberty was so intense, and with it came the miracle of being attracted to guys. So right now I'm not attracted to girls. I can't imagine, like, it doesn't even make sense. I'm like, oh, why would I? Like, I'm just very much not attracted to girls. I would, and even if it for a second it seems like it, when I think it through, I'm like, I realize there's just nothing there. So I would never even experiment with a girl because I feel like that would be bad. It would be mistreating women, and I love women. It'd be like misleading them. Into thinking that something could happen, something could come from it. Nothing could come from it. I want a man. And I'm attracted to men, and like if this is my attraction to women, you know, my attraction to men is this big, huge, giant thing. And and my attraction to women is more like if I'm looking at a woman's boobs, it's because I'm getting ideas of how to do my boobs. Like, wow, she kind of has her cleavage, or like, look at how she's doing this. It's more just like getting ideas. I can look at a woman dressed in lingerie and I'm not even thinking about sex. I'm not even thinking if she's sexy. I'm just thinking that looks sexy. I would look sexy like that. You know, there's just really just nothing there. So it's just like I think that trans women, if you really understand trans women, it's there could have been changes. Like if you knew them before, you might not know where they are now with it. And then statistically, it could be this way or that way. I mean, you just never really know where a trans woman is with her sexuality. I guess that's true with everybody since gender's a spectrum. Uh, but one thing, like with bathrooms, like trans women in the bathrooms, you have to remember we're on female hormones. We don't have male sex drives. Like, ew, if it's easy for me to make friends with women, why would I want to, like, how would a bathroom be an opportunity to meet a woman when it's so easy to make friends with women when people aren't trying to pee and poo? I mean, it's just like, that's just where you go to use the bathroom. It's disgusting. Only someone with a male sex drive would see that as a turn on. It's ew. There's just nothing that's a turn on about a bathroom. I'm just trying to get in and out of there and use the bathroom so I don't have to go around the boys. It's about not being around the boys, and it has nothing to do with being around the girls. It's like, wow, do the trans folks have anything right? Like everything they say is so stupid and so far from reality. Like the notice that the things that happen along sexual assault and sexual things, notice that they're almost always people that have male sex drives. I think it's mostly a male sex drive thing. I get every once in a while a woman rapes someone, but that's just like, it just really isn't a very womanly, like a female sex drive type thing. So if as far as like the trans women that are lesbians, which isn't me, we shouldn't be afraid of that either because they have female sex drives, and it's easy to make friends with women when you're a trans woman, because you have female hormones and you have a female brain, and it's that it's just such a dumb idea to worry about something like that. Ew, gross. But as far as that, so I want to make that point, because a trans woman could be so many different things as far as sexuality, and just to let you know that, like, there's a lot of people saying your sexuality doesn't change. That's why I would say that I was born bisexual. Because bisexual means that that it would explain everything. Yeah, I've always, in a way, I'm probably bisexual now. Um, I guess I don't know, but I think that my sexuality changed. I think I was born bisexual and it changed to asexual, then it changed to heterosexual. I would describe myself as a heterosexual woman. You know, you can call it homosexual, but you don't know guys like I know guys. How many guys have you had sex with? As a trans woman, can you say you've had sex with many men as a trans woman? Then why are you an expert on it? You know, I've had sex with lots of gay guys, and I've mostly had sex with guys that aren't gay, and it's not gay. or I'm out of there. I'm not interested. If a man doesn't make me feel like a woman, I'm out. Sayonara. So, yeah, I'm talking quiet because it's an embarrassing subject as I post it on Facebook, but nobody's going to listen to this video. And it's just, there's something has to be said about the difference between gender and sexuality, especially, or not especially, in this case, in the telling of my own story, and just for the education of you guys.